Hello there folks, I'm Dan Brown from Sort of Interesting, and today you're joining me on board good old Narrowboat Abel's Ark. This is some sealing wax. This is a wax seal stamper. It can mean only one thing. We're going to sit down and write us a traditional letter with a dip pen and then seal it with a classic initialed wax seal. Right then my friends, before we get stuck into the letter writing, let's just take a look at some of the instruments and utensils we have got laid out before us. So, we're actually going to be writing on a classic bit of Basildon Bond paper here. These are the very slightly blue sheets, and they are very lightly watermarked on the pages themselves. You can see the black lines from the guideline sheet beneath the top sheet here shining through easily. But on the envelope, you might have a better chance of seeing the double B logo there, the Basildon Bond logo. And that is not picked up by the camera, but it is somewhere lightly represented on the pages themselves. Although, even with my naked eye, I'm struggling to see it on this particular sheet. So, we'll be using our dip pen here, and I think we'll use some of the Waterman Tender Purple ink. So that's what we'll be writing the actual letter with. But as you can see, we've got a good selection of different inks in the background. Right then, my friends, as you can see, our pad is ready to go. Our pen is pretty much ready to go. We've got our bottle of ink. We've got a little bit of blotting paper here, which, as you can see, if you tap just the edge of the pen on, you can see how much ink is absorbed and just held onto by the little bits of metal here. So let's get stuck in. I suppose we should start with our address. Given that we're on Narrowboat Abel's Ark, it would only be correct to start the address with NB dot, so that's Narrowboat Abel's Ark. Now, would you think if this was a normal address, we would be putting the street name, then the county. So I'll put Llangollen Canal as our street name, so we'll put that in next. And then Shropshire is our county, just about here. Oh yeah, it's probably important to point out at this moment that my writing really is this bad. That's not because I'm using the dip pen, that's just because my writing is absolutely appalling. Some people have mused that it's because of all of the writing of books and stuff that I do. Hint, hint, links in the description. Because I've written so much and scrolled out so much by hand, and you're just trying to rapidly get as much written as you possibly can, as quickly as you can, because it's putting ideas on paper, that hasn't encouraged me to improve and take more time and care with my handwriting. I'm not going to put who this is to, so I'll start writing on the line below where the dear name will go into. Without further ado, we'll start off with a thank you, a good place to start. Thank you very much for all of your support over the years. Comma. I am glad you still tune into my videos, especially after the recent turbulent times. Something of that effect. I'll try and make that, well, what's a better way? I'm glad you still enjoy my videos. And tune in. There, that's it. I'm glad you still enjoy my videos and tune in, especially after the last few months of uncertainty with my posts and my life in general. I think we'll change that from a full stop to an exclamation mark there. I think I'll stop filming the actual writing section here and we'll skip straight to the what are we calling it, the wax seal, because I don't want to give away all of what goes into this letter, so that if this posts before the letter's delivered, it will still have some sort of surprise and enjoyment for the recipient. Right, yeah, let's go to the wax seal section. So my friends, we're getting to the exciting part now. We have got our wax stamper, which you can see is just obviously a mirror image of my initials, so that when I put it down like that, it will give obviously the correct image of my initials there, hopefully. And then these candles, these wax sealing candles, are basically just a much thicker, sort of more gooey version of a candle. I don't know whether there's some sort of rubberized element or what in them, but it basically, just as you'll see, drips down in thick spots, which obviously you don't want runny wax, because then you'd have nothing to stamp into to give it that classic wax sealed final effect. So I suppose, without further ado, I should probably put something in the envelope first. See how this goes, my friends. Oh, come on, pop in, pop in. There we go. So we'll peel the sticky part off, and then down we go. So let's see. Hoping that I can relight one of these already slightly burnt bits of wax, but we'll see what happens. So let's see how this goes. That's not working too well. Ah, there we go. Now, as you can see, or you might be able to see, it's burning with a lot of horrible smoke, and that is one of the side effects, or one of the slight downsides here. So you can see just that tiny little flame is obviously heating up the wax, and if I just move this a little bit further out so you can see some of the individual spots coming down, it's a lot thicker, as I say. That gives you a good indication of how you can drop these little bits of wax down, and it'll keep its shape as like its own little blob of wax. Although now that's really getting wildly out of control. I'll just spin the candle around, just to try and let it burn a little bit more evenly. Normally I'd pile the wax up in more of one central spot, but just to give you that indication of how the wax melts and everything, I thought I would just put it out to the side like that so you could see it. So that's a bit of a wider splodge than I would normally go for. So I'll blow that out. And you can see it immediately stops melting and dripping. I'll put that to one side. Whoops. Now, here we go with our seal. So make sure we've got that the correct way, the DMB logo, and in we go. Press it down nice and hard, and up we go. You can tell it's a warm day because that didn't freeze the wax anywhere near, or cool the wax anywhere near as solidly as it normally would have. And especially, I think, because I've got so much wider, a wider wax base there that you can see. Now, nevertheless, as this dries, it will form a very solid seal. So obviously in the old days, you'd be able to tell if that was broken. And, well, again, today you'd be able to tell if that was broken. So yeah, I'm quite a fan of that. I'll let that dry. Like I say, because it's so hot on board, this isn't as freezing cold as you would want it to be, to really immediately solidify the wax. And like I say, because obviously I put so much around a wider base, you're not having quite the instant cooling effect that you might normally get. But again, I think the basic principle is well illustrated here. That's obviously ready to address up and put in the post. But because these are very delicate, I will put this in a jiffy bag and then post that, so that people aren't tempted in the postal service to crack it and to see whether it's actually a wax seal. So thank you very much for tuning in, my friends. I'm off to find a post box, and hopefully in the next couple of days the letter will be with its recipient, hopefully intact and hopefully with a wax seal still in place. Anyway, I suppose I'll wrap things up and say thanks for tuning in. Please do consider subscribing and checking out my usual boat life videos in beautiful places like this. I mean, it doesn't get much better than being out here in the middle of nowhere under a beautiful sunny and a slightly cloudier sky than anticipated. Nearly tumbled over into a pothole then. Anyway, yeah, check the links in the description and you'll find me all over social media posting all sorts of boaty pictures and things from places like this, really. And of course, if you want to help me out, please do consider checking out my books, available as a paperback collection and also as short Kindle books, available on Amazon. Loads of links in the description. Just have a fantastic day. See you soon, my friends. Farewell.